Hello, everyone. I'm Younas, and welcome to the vFairs Events podcast. Today, we have an exciting guest who's known for shaking up the event industry, Dahlia El Ghazzar. Dahlia is a powerhouse when it comes to event tech, strategy, and marketing. As the founder of Dahlia Plus Agency, she helps event professionals cut through the noise, embrace technology, and create unforgettable experiences. If you've ever felt stuck in an outdated event strategy or overwhelmed by AI and automation, Dahlia is a person to turn to. She is one of my favorite person in the events industry. Dahlia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Younas. You are my favorite as well.
Thank you so much. Dahlia, would love to learn a bit more about your journey. How did you get into the events industry?
Wow. I want to say that I fell into it, as others always say, oh, I was an accidental planner and then I got in. And I always use the analogy. It's like the song Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never check out. And it's the honest truth for a lot of people. So whoever's listening, tell me if that's true for you. But it started out where I was actually in the Red Sea in South Sinai. And I was there in one of the first resorts in Sharm el-Sheikh. And the Movenpick GM basically said, just go make money. And I'm like, okay, I'm Egyptian. I can haggle with the best of them. And I say that I can sell air in bottles. And I ask you what color you want. And the best part is she's like, just do an event and, from start to finish. I'm like, I have never freaking done anything. So I picked the hardest road to do something like that because I went and negotiated with the Bedouins. And if you can negotiate with Bedouins, it's the same as driving in Cairo. You can do anything. And basically started doing a camel race every year on January 1st. And it was very simple in concept in my head. But putting it together, it was like a holy shit moment. This is a lot of work, but you get addicted to that. And I got addicted. So that's how I started. And then the tech side, that was a different journey altogether. But I'm happy for that detour as well.
Yeah, Dalia, so again, you mentioned you can drive in Egypt. I didn't drive in Egypt, but I was in an Uber in Egypt, and I have to say, I should have walked because it was literally across the street, my hotel and the conference where it was. The drive itself took 40 minutes. The walk was less than 10 minutes. So
we call it organized chaos.
Do you go back to Egypt a lot? Just a little bit on that journey.
I will be honest, I haven't been in a while and I'm very due for it. I need that, especially now that it's Ramadan. So you feel it more. So I'm due for a trip.
Yeah. Amazing food, amazing people. One of our best sales person is an Egyptian. And again, I have been there once, but for me, the food, the people, and again, the history, there's no other country like Egypt in the world.
Thank you.
Dahlia, let's just talk a bit more about than your history, right? So I saw that you were with Passkey. So just walk us through that, and then how did you find Dahlia Plus Agency?
I was with Passkey in marketing, and it was baptism by fire, where it was go to ASAE annual and create a panel discussion with Sabre and Passkey and all the bigwigs, and just do your thing. But then again, it was a bug. You get like this contagious feeling of like, I kind of like this industry. It's the people, it's the curiosity. And I will say for anybody that is either hiring or looking for jobs, make sure that you're using curiosity as your number one talent and your number one skill with your passion work. But Passkey was an amazing launchpad for me. Not only from a tech side, but also from a strategic partnership side. And from there, I went to On Peak, which was also a great part of the journey because it lent itself to me understanding how different buyers buy. And it's not about how tech sells. And I know you and we talked about this because we have this in common, where our DNA is like sell technology without showing the technology. And it's a very emotional conversation. And I tend to think of it, this is where I excel, because I am very woo-woo, as people call me. Like, you are too out there. People call me a fairy godmother of the tech, but it's also because of the emotion part. I treat tech, anything around technology and event, as therapy, because we all need it. I mean, I'm sure you've been in that situation as well.
Absolutely.
So from Passkey, it was on peak. And then, funny enough, this year marks 13 years for Dahlia Plus Agency. And thank you. And then when I realized that, being with On Peak was a great fit at the time, I was almost pushed to really live a dream of mine, which was to go on my own. And I wanted to mind the gap between the organizers and the planners and those that have a design in mind, and also on the tech side and the supplier side. And how do you match make that in order for the strategy and the experience and everything around it just moves out of the comfort zone or a cocktail napkin idea that they had.
Tell me a bit more about your first customer. Again, I tell people I was an event planner myself. I was an event planner for virtual job fairs. So again, I ran a lot of job fairs, and then suddenly one day decided that, you know what, okay, a lot of people are coming to me saying that I want your software to run my own event. I don't want to just be an exhibitor in your booth. Build a website, launch a SEO, SEM campaign. And the very first customer I got was Nestle.
Mm-hmm.
Nestle, like one of the Fortune 500 companies. And they signed up with me just because they were like, okay, the technology is new. You don't have a name, but you look like someone who knows how to run a virtual job fair. So I was able to pick up your brain and, run my own virtual career fair job fair back in 2000.
So your credibility precedes you.
Exactly. Yes. And again, it was the experience of running virtual events. Talk about 10 years back, it was rare. Not many people knew how to do that.
Right.
But walk me through your first, first, second, third customer. Like, how did you land into?
So funny enough, my first customer as Dahlia Plus Agency was actually On Peak.
Oh, wow.
And this is where you lean hard on people that you know that are going to have your back, are going to continue to believe in you. And Michael Howe, who was the president at the time of On Peak, when he saw that I really wanted this, and he was the first to say, I'll back you up. Second customer was Passkey. So competition aside,
nice.
And but it goes back to Younas, what you were talking about. It's the credibility. And it's also because, people rely on you, that you're going to think outside of the box for them. And we're at a point right now, and I remember those are my first two clients. And then other tech companies came, on board saying, well, what do you think? And what should we do? And where should we go? And all of this. So you establish yourself as that's your positioning, right? You establish yourself as the number one leader in job fairs, knowing it from both sides. And that whole perspective is key. And I wish that, some trade show organizers and some event, organizers right now would lean hard on some of their internal talent to ask them the question, what are the different perspectives you can bring to the table, and not pigeonholing them. Yeah. And so I will say that our best clients are those that come and say, we want to change, help us change, but then actually do change.
Which is hard.
It's very hard. So and it's hard also from a business owner, where you have to say, okay, this is not working. I'm going to divorce you. We can, keep, mutual custody about the dog or the fur baby, whatever it is, but we have to part ways. And I think this is going to be happening more so now than ever, when you're not stifling those that have a different perspective. all data aside, and the reports and this and that and the tactics and what worked in the past and da 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 da. It's not about that anymore. I think it's more about like the credibility and the voicing of the different perspectives and the different ideas.
Very nice. Dahlia, this was, again, start of the journey. Let's fast forward 13 years today. Again, lots is happening in 2025 across the world, whether it's in tech, whether it's just, politics, etc.
Yeah.
What's your take on AI and events? And again, just when we started the year, like December 2024, January 2025, a lot of our customers were like, in the world of AI, events is the most human thing ever. And, a lot of them have been planning a lot more smaller, mid-sized, big in-person events. And again, anyone within the event technology space wants to make use of AI in events somehow, because, the promise of AI is that it will increase productivity, cut down cost. What AI applications have you seen work well for event planners? And the entire event planning journey, where have you seen AI be effective, and where do you think it has fallen short so far?
Okay, so AI, it's funny because everybody's like, oh, this is the tip of the iceberg. No, it's actually not. And, there's a lot of different ways of thinking of AI at the moment. Yes, there's fear. There's tremendous fear. Yes, it's because it's moving too fast, and I think that's where the tremendous fear is. Applications of AI that's going to work miracles for us is what we have been asking for as event professionals for a very long time. We want digital transformation, so we're getting it. Embrace it. We want virtual assistants because I am a one-man band and I can't do everything on my own. Well, guess what? AI agents are going to come and help you out. We are stuck with data all over the place and we don't know what to do with it. Perfect. So when you look at the obstacles of putting events together, and then you're able to look at the opportunities with AI infusion, the applications are not only about analytics or data, or it's more of muse, brainstorming, agility, and it's more of workflows transformed. We've been asking for this. We go on a hunt for a project management system and we try to go to Monday.com, Asana, Trello, Google, blah, and all of that. And we're not sticking to anything. More than anything, what AI is doing is it's changing the way we do business. And so the implication here is you're not going to do business the same way. Yep. You're going to be faster. You're going to be more nimble. Your data is going to be different. It's going to be more real time. And the things that you were comfortable with, even like, selling services, it's going to be sold as products. Even if you're selling experiences, then you're going to be able to quickly think on your feet and sell experiences within the experience. And I'll give you an example. I am a huge fan of Gamma.
Yep. I was about to say that. I was about to get into Gamma. Promise. I was about to get into Gamma because I was like,
Brent Lee he has totally mind blown. Like, he needs his own emoji.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But like with Gamma, for example, what you want to think of is basically, okay, if you have Gamma, have that open for like a couple of content creators or VIPs at your event. And if you have a discussion happening, have them take their own notes, upload it to Gamma, have them do their own take on it, like with their own presentation, for example, and then all of a sudden have a contest about it. Like, why not? And so this is almost like peer-to-peer sharing, or it's maybe those that are sharing it on the virtual side. My other favorite one, and I'm only giving you the fun ones because we can be here forever for like the whole entire day and like just, comparing screens on our phone or something, Younas. But The other one is Sono, like sono.com, where you can make your own songs.
I don't know about that one.
Oh my God. But
Yeah,
like, can
yeah.
you imagine making a song for your first time attendees and it's personalized and it's Younas, welcome to such and such a show, you know, and all of this. And it's personalized. We talk about personalization. We talk about fun. So we're talking about personalizing workflows, processes, presentations, visualizations. We're going to be at a point where there's going to be a speaker and he's going to be talking to maybe, 100 people, 500 people, but Younas likes visuals in a black and gray scale and Dahlia likes purple. Let's actually personalize a deck or the presentation according to them.
Yep. Amazing. I would like to go through this journey because you mentioned Gamma, and I want to go through, at least from an event tech perspective, how we set up a landing page, reg form, and wherever we can make use of AI. So landing page, and again, I know that in some cases, event tech, at least companies like us, we have to catch up in some of those areas because then there are these journal tools who are just amazing. Gamma for presentation, for landing pages, are all amazing. But landing page or reg form, have you seen any, like, where have you seen AI working well on that one? Landing page, absolutely. I've seen Gamma and it's amazing. Reg form, have you seen any AI work being done there from an event planner perspective, or is it still
I think
more
it's
like a drag and drop?
I've seen it in beta mode.
Okay.
But I think what's going to start happening is that the pre-populating of the information is going to be super easy. So like if you are a returning attendee, you won't have to go through the 10 pages that people sometimes put on their registration feed, right? What it's going to start happening is it's going to probably start getting personalized for you, and you're like in a yes or no mode, depending on the mood that you're in. It might actually be where it's checking on you right before the event because of the registration cycle time, it's almost like, what do you want to binge on a Friday night? Because that can change, right? So it will serve up, but then it will also serve down depending on your way of shopping. I think of registration as a marketing and shopping journey. And there's several companies and clients that I'm working with at the moment where we're changing that registration path, because registration on its own does not give you the opportunity to upsell or to package or like to get products on the fly or maybe sponsored type of content that you can like package in while you're in registration mode. It comes later. And people don't shop like that anymore. If you look at TikTok Shop, for example, they get you at the moment. They give you that like, sweet discount or like free, shipping right there and then. You have no chance of saying no, especially if your kid is sitting next to you and they want that, whatever's in that shopping cart. Like when TikTok went down for that 24 hours, that was a shit show. That was not pretty.
Yep. And just on the registration form, your take on, should it be just a couple of fields, capture the registration ticket, and then capture the rest of the information, or are you okay having a long form?
So it depends on the audience, and it depends on the intention, and it depends on how laser focused that your team should be on each of the event participants. You do not treat a first timer as you do a 10-timer, right? And you do not treat a new group coordinator that is booking, for the entire booth personnel team that's coming for an exhibitor, activation. As if you're not giving them the right information, there's going to come a time when almost like sentiments are going to be included. Do you give someone who seems overwhelmed everything, like a 10-page form, or do you sort of do a drip campaign kind of style? Because in essence, it's not only the registration, it is a journey. It is an experience. Registration on its own has to be an experience. So like if you look at the registration that you fly through, even if it's 10 pages long, it's one that has humor in it,
Yeah.
or has gifts in it, or has something that will cause you that emotion. I can sit here for an hour and I'll do a reg form for Younas because it's fun. Not that it's treating me like they don't know me, for example. It's the same as, like when you go to the hospital, or if you're taking care of a loved one and you have to check them in to a hospital, the amount of questions they ask you about the medication
Yep.
and the history. Have you been through that?
Just last year, a lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, why don't you just
Yeah.
get it together?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we have to really hone in on the journey and the person.
And just on that journey, assuming that, of course, the more information you capture, the more personalized and better experience you can give. Is that journey better, more in the form of a wizard-based style, or is it that, okay, you know what, here are all the questions, one long form, but which one do you feel works out better than the other?
So this is where I think it's maybe a mix of both. But people get overwhelmed by a ton of information, and it depends on it depends on what else is going on in their world. But if you have it in a point where you have a wizard of some kind, and the wizard is intelligence, that means that there's an AI hook in the back end somehow, right? And if the wizard comes in and says, oh my God, you just answered this, and guess what? Younas is also going to be this and that. Yeah. That's an incentive for you to keep on going with the big sheet.
Yeah.
So this is where I say it's almost like a shopping experience.
Yes, yeah.
When you go and you do Instacart and it tells you, hey, what about this?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's a mix of both. And there's psychology behind it too, but that's a different.
Yeah, and again, I'm pretty sure all of these, big companies, they know the psychology. That's why they at least make my wife spend a lot more than what she should.
There you go.
What are you seeing as a trend? Again, I've done a couple of these podcasts with a lot of other event planners, and most of them are saying restrictions are happening later than what they would wish for. Are you seeing that trend even right now in 2025?
Yeah, like restrictions in what, like in factors that
just over? Again, 2 months before their conference, before COVID, I know 70% of their sales would have happened. Now it's the opposite. 30% has happened in the last, 70% or more of the sales is happening in the last 2 months as compared to people signing up early. So
absolutely.
Are you seeing people are signing up late versus what it used to be before COVID? Yeah.
So the booking patterns, not only from a registration perspective, but also from even an exhibitor or sponsor perspective, the decision-making has a lag. And the lag is because of we are now operating in fear and in scarcity. And we have all these unknowns. And it's taking a toll on that lag. So what that means for an event planner is they're going to get more gray hairs like this. You see that? And they are going to have to be more agile and in real time really depend on not only the data and the platforms that they have in place, but also their team and the quickness of decision making. So when we say that we are the best worst case scenario planners, it is truly a title. It's not a thing. I say it's worst case or best case. Worst case scenario planning as well as cat herding. We are cat herders like nobody's business. But going back to the decision making, because of the emotion that's under it, we are now almost thrown in and forced into a very different budget planning, event planning, all of that. And I worry about our event planners where they are not able to be that agile, or they're not able to think on their feet.
I was going to say that because, see, of course, we provide technology to help others run their conferences. But when I run my own conference, it's not that the hotel and the F&B and they are flexible. Like, you have to book things X months in advance. You have to let them commit. You have to commit for a minimum spend.
Yeah.
So walk me through that journey that, given that up until the last couple of months, event planners don't know how many people will end up signing up for this. How do they budget for any of this? Because for me, running one conference was a lot of guesswork, but for people who do this day in, day out, every single month and run dozens of events in a year, how do they plan for something like this uncertainty,
So there's always going to be a need for buffer in spend and buffer in time, as well as buffer in lack of expertise or talent. I call staff talent, because right now we're also going through a journey of people getting sick more often because of stress or otherwise, or loved ones. So they're getting taken away from what they do. I think the buffer is one thing to take a look at. I think leadership really has to listen to the experts that they have in-house when it comes to events. And when someone says, no, we need another X amount of money to make this happen, they need to listen to that. You need to spend the money to change the way events are. We can't go back to saying just cut and paste the budget that you had like a couple of years ago. Just, it has to be very relevant and very in the now. I think the other thing that planners, that they need that agility. So the scenario of like all of a sudden breakout rooms are all full, even though your mobile app said that there was room and capacity there, and that's actually a lie, and there's lines, then have the ability to have it be like second screen or like live on their phones and give them a seating area with coffee or donuts or something. Yeah. But that's agile. That's like, again, it's almost like redesigning events on the go. So that's what you need.
And I understand the buffer in budget. Can you clarify a bit more when you said buffer in time? Because for me, the biggest challenge with any event is that time is set in stone. It cannot change, You're just, no matter what you're sometimes, and again, it has happened with me where no matter what's happening in your personal life, etc., it's not that you have time in your hand. If you have to run something on a particular day, the communications are out, you have paid for everything.
Yeah.
You have to just, wear this mask that, you're still that human who can go ahead and run this event. Tell me a bit more on that one. What options exist, if any? Because I'm not aware of any option. Otherwise, I would have.
I don't know if options exist yet. It depends on your relationship that you have with your vendors, like your hotel, your AV provider, etc. I do think that you are able to build in, realistic, like not even depending on history, but like realistic timeframes of when attrition should be, on a calendar, or like when you should drop like registration, rates or whatever it is that you need. It needs to be more flexible, is what I'm saying. Now, hotels, the thing is, because you have so many people depending on that event management process, hotels, transportation, all those vendors, sometimes they have to be
etc. A lot of moving pieces.
Moving parts, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I think, but in general, it's that relationship that you need with them in order to be having that buffer in time.
I'll get some quick questions, and again, your as we say, like your take on that one. What is the most overrated event trend that you see right now that's happening?
The most overrated event trend is the word trend. Not a big believer of the word trend, not a big believer of predictions anymore. I think we should be done with that. If anything, if you're looking at trends, look at trends within your own event or your own organization. Don't try to compare your trends, or like don't try to look at trends. If someone says, "Oh, these are the 2025 trends," call bullshit on that, because they've already been said. AI is not a trend anymore. AI is not a tech category anymore. So that is one trend. The other trend that I think is that is needing to be like just taken away is this whole reasoning about like the revenue streams that are connected to your show, like especially from an exhibitor side or like from a sponsor side, has to be by a sponsor or an exhibitor. My gut says that there's going to be new revenue streams that are not associated with exhibitors and sponsors, and this is very hard for people to think that way, and to think of like, maybe my trade show next year is not going to be a trade show. What am I going to do? So I think that is that's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Yep, I agree. What are planners wasting time and money on that they should not spend any time on?
I believe that some planners waste their own time thinking that they have to have all these certifications in order to be as kick-ass as they are. I actually have been questioning some of the certifications that we have in the industry, because they're not nimble and they're not quick enough. And I don't want that our event organizers think second best. I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't want them to doubt their abilities and thinking, oh, I need such and such, certification, and then I'll be amazing. No, you're amazing. You're like awesome. And just, you have to keep on doing what you're doing. If you are in a position that doesn't allow you to do that, and you think that you need an acronym behind your name, then you got to leave. So that's one thing I think they're wasting time on. The other thing I think they're wasting time on is saying yes to everything, and they shouldn't. They should question everything, and they should actually do the opposite. And they should keep track, whether it's through data, whether it's through sentiment, whether it's through like one-on-one evaluations of ideas that have worked, don't work, and will not work with all their different stakeholders. And then the other thing that I also think is that needs to be different. It's not really a waste of time. It actually needs more time. Is where leadership should really lean into the team that they have in-house, especially those that have amazing years of experience, and think of it in a way where if they want to bring in new talent, new skills, new energy, new blood, basically, is that it's a tag team. So I envision it as a yin and yang. So like your event director or whoever's heading the event department should be two people, one seasoned, one who has all the experience in the world, and someone who just wants to take off and do crazy stuff. And so that kind of complements what I see as a new business unit for events.
I'm just going to
I
double
don't know
down.
if I answered your question, but like,
No, you did. I'm just going to double down on what you said, which is event planners with or without any certification, the kind of job that they do, they are awesome. See, I have, in my 20 plus years of my career, I have been a QA engineer, a software developer, a project manager, a product manager, a business manager, a CEO, and event planner. The toughest job was being an event planner. The toughest. Yeah. And, I can tell you, like, being the CEO of a company in a very, very tough industry, but running events is equally, if not more tough than running a company of the size that I run. So
I can guess. You tell me why what's your number one reason why you think it's tough?
It's because, as I mentioned, it happened with me just last year that you're running against time. Again, if I have to launch a product, if I'm not fully ready, I can delay it by a week. Everything else can wait or has a little bit of buffer. That's why I asked, explain me that buffer in time, because For me, that has never happened, and I never knew that how to make it happen. And again, with resources, with budget, with so many uncertainties, with so many moving pieces, you have to still run a great show. With every other role, you have a lot more in control. You have a lot of those internal pieces, not external pieces. And that's why for me, again, that was the toughest job I have ever done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Um, what do you think we should stop doing in our events industry?
Yeah, I'll say for me, it was also about just stop saying yes to everything. And I say that to a lot of our people who say yes to our customers as well, because I know that they're saying yes to their end customer, because sometimes when you say yes to literally everything, which we also have as a company tendency to do, I think you just don't realize that you're not helping anyone achieve that end goal, which is to run a great event. You're just creating more work for everyone. And sometimes saying yes is not the best interest in for the customer itself. You have to see what the end goal is, etc. So for me, it's also that.
Yeah, perfect.
Few more questions. Again, we'll go back to that event journey. We were done with landing page. We're done with reg form. We are there in that in-person event. You have a mobile app right now. One thing that you mentioned, by the way, we recently launched that. And again, I have to say, we do a lot of cool stuff, facial recognition, et cetera, et cetera. But the ones that's used the most is our AI assistant for the mobile app, right? Which means that, if you are a user in a conference, you can ask that AI bot any question about the conference. Where is the session for Dahlia, for which Dahlia is a speaker and so forth. It will tell you and so forth. But walk me through that mobile app and just how you feel AI can make a big impact in the user experience of them making use of the mobile app.
Right. So again, it's all about personalization. So knowing that, if Dahlia likes jokes or is the tone and the personality that comes through the mobile app, it's almost like conversational. And it's an event companion more than anything. I think the serving of the information, that's just basic stuff. So tell me where the sessions are, or what are the sessions about AI. I want it to take it a step further, where it's like, oh my God, Younas is talking about AI. I follow Younas, on, but are you following them on LinkedIn, and then serving that up, and then, creating that bridge that's outside of the event. Again, it's consumer behavior. When you have your phone in hand and you go down the rabbit hole of like Instagram, or like you're, binging reels or whatever it is, depending on who you are and what you're looking at, you need to look at it from an event perspective. What do you want to create? So it's not only the moments and then tracking it within the event, but it's those connections or that content consumption. And it's not only in a breakout room or in a hallway, or, it's what you can do a little bit more of. And so, I think of the mobile app serving content that is behind like a red velvet rope only for VIPs. And if it's like amazing content, I'll pay for it, or if it's like a conversation that you want to listen into, and Younas is going to be talking with, Ali K. Miller about AI, I want to be a fly on the wall. Let me in and I will pay you $1 million, So this is where you get to have fun creating that experience. And I think a mobile app needs to get to that spot. It's not only serving up information, or else it can just be a chat GPT on your phone.
Exactly. I agree. Your take on swags. A lot of people spend a lot of money on swags in the conferences. Tell me your opinion on that one. Yeah.
It depends on the swag. I'm up for stickers. I love stickers. Like if you can get me on stickers, or like, no more tote bags. Thank you. I'm good. I appreciate it. No more bottles. I'm good there as well, unless it has a mission to it. So like, for example, like the Fill It Forward bottles. I think for swag, you have to think of it in a different way, as well as from the demographics of your attendees. If it's younger people, they don't want the swag that you think they want, and that's relevant right now. I would think of swag as what's a value add. Give me a blueprint on, for example, or a journal PDF that I can download when I get home. Give me a blueprint on how I can, evaluate my tech stack when I get with my team. Give me Oracle cards that tell me, am I going to have a good day or am I going to have a bad day today? Stuff like that. So and I'll use myself as an example. I am always giving, when I'm at a show, I give the evil eye bracelets out to protect people that are around me. I give out crystals, I give out Oracle cards or affirmation cards, and I give out a ton of hugs. And I would take a hug any day instead of an old pen that does not work.
That's pretty cool. And within the industry, and again, I was just, before we started recording, I was taking your, just your guidance on which events we should attend. But what are your most 3 favorite events within the events industry?
That's hard. Don't put me on the spot like that.
It's okay.
Well, I mean, the beauty of it is we go to a ton of events, and the Tech to Grow Collective. I'm actually very thankful that we have strategic partnerships with a lot of the industry events, IMAX and ASAE and MPI and Event Tech Live and Exhibitor Live and others. My favorite events, Younas, is where the event exceeds its expectation in the sense of no expectation. It depends on the energy of the event. And I think it's also depending on the time of year. So the industry events that are happening in 2025 are actually to feed the soul, because we are all feeling a little bit more of a constraint and we're not able to let it out. You do that with the people that you get to know the best. And that's what our event industry is all about. So my favorite events are those that have a lot of hugs, real conversations, tears, actually moments of oh my God, I think I need to leave my job. I need to go somewhere else. What should I do? Give me the blueprint. And those are my favorite type of events.
And how do you see virtual events and in-person events in 2025? So we saw 2021, 2020, all virtual events followed by tons of in-person events. Again, we serve customers across both. We're seeing that a lot of virtual events are coming back this year.
Yeah. So are we.
You're the first one I'm asking this question because I just started seeing this trend. January, the same customer who did virtual and then did in-person. Now, some of them
this time they didn't wait like they did during the Corona coaster.
Exactly.
It wasn't wait, let me see. This time they made a decision and they're doing it. Yeah. And I'm with you on that. I think virtual events are doing, there's a huge surge because of uncertainties and because of what we're going through politically, economically. To be very transparent, even the plane crashes that are happening more frequently now, again, it's out of fear and scarcity. It's out of fear, but it's not even out of fear of those that are attending events. It's actually the fear that's evoked on them from their loved ones, their kids, their parents saying, I don't want you getting on a plane. So I think virtual events are on an increase. We as an agency have been doing more virtual production as well. I'm hoping right now that nobody in the industry can say, oh, virtual is dead, because that's wrong.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, I also hope that people take that design strategy for virtual events to be a continuum, not just one-offs throughout the year.
I'm in total agreement with you also on that one. And again, our numbers are the same. So for the first almost 2.5 months of this year, we are seeing that, again, in-person events, like they keep on growing for us, but virtual events are coming back, for a lot of customers who stopped doing it for the last couple of years.
Yep.
It was great talking to you. Again, for all the listeners who want to learn a bit more about you, follow you. I know that I follow you on LinkedIn, but for the audience, where do you think that they can find you best and, kind of learn?
I live on LinkedIn. I live on Facebook. More than happy to connect with anyone. And I'm at Dahlia at dahliaplus.com. And 617-470-2655 for those that need a hug or need to chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Dahlia, for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.